Hi, and welcome back to life skill number 4, which is from Stress Free for Good by Luskin and Pelletier, and it's visualizing success. So they suggest using this life skill before you go into a stressful meeting, before a difficult conversation, if you're about to have to perform in some way, or if you're trying to make a change in your life, change a habit. Obviously, because I'm working in mediation, I can see how this would be incredibly helpful for clients who are going through mediation for their divorce and separation. So imagine that you now have the schedule, you know that your joint session has been scheduled, and most people are anxious before they come to the joint session. They're anxious for lots of reasons. Understandably, they're anxious because now they're going to be sitting across the table from their former partner. It might be the first time in a while. I think the longest gap between seeing somebody and being at the table that I have experienced as a mediator was 20 years, that these people had not been in the same room for 20 years. So that's a lot of anxiety. Also, you don't know what's going to happen. Most people that I work with have never experienced mediation. And so coming to mediation is really an unknown. It's kind of a leap into the unknown. And even if you come with your solicitor, it is still really difficult to know, to predict what is going to happen in the room. The other reason is obviously that it is difficult, that you're either talking about arrangements for your children or for your finances, and that can be pretty conflictual if everybody has different ideas about what should happen. So there are lots of obvious reasons I think why coming to mediation joint sessions can be really stressful. So this suggests that you know that you have something coming up that you need to focus on. You take 2 or 3 of those deep belly breaths that we have talked about. That was life skill number 1. You start imagining that you are in the, let's just call it the joint session. You construct a picture in your mind. You visualize, what does success look like? What is the picture of a successful mediation session? So that could be lots of things for people. But from my perspective, I guess as a mediator, I would say that you've been able to get the information that you need to make decisions, that you've been able to ask the questions you need to ask. You may not like the answers, but you've been able to ask the questions, that you've been able to stay focused and calm, that you've been able to express what your needs are, that you've been able to get an understanding of what's going on for the other person. And maybe if you're further down the process, you've actually been able to start negotiating in a way that meets your needs and helps you move forward. So those might be some pictures of what it might look like. But what you might in your mind see is no one's shouting, nobody's out of control. Everybody is having a constructive conversation. No one's happy about being there. I certainly don't ever work with people who are happy to come to mediation, but at least it's constructive. So that picture might be 2 people having a constructive conversation. Then they ask you to describe it. So what is it that you are actually seeing? What are the things that are happening in that visualization that make it successful? So that could be we are getting options up, or information's being exchanged, or I have a better understanding of what's happening. And then they ask you to think about, what can you do to make that picture a reality? So it's a very, I think, a helpful technique to help you prepare for that joint session, prepare for coming in to negotiate for children's arrangements or financial arrangements. It's not going to work for everybody. I appreciate that. Like all of these things, and pretty much everything that I ever say to anyone, it's take it or leave it. For some people, it will be really helpful. For other people, it will be less helpful. But what I would say is, again, give it a go. There's no downside to trying one of these techniques, and they have a lot of research behind them to show that for many people, this is incredibly helpful. So that was life skill number, starting to run out of, not be good at counting. I feel like that's 4, which was visualize for success. So next week, we're going to be coming back with life skill number 5. So maybe give it a go. Maybe give visualize a success a go. If you know that you're going to have a tough conversation, maybe with your co-parent, or maybe you've got something that's kind of lower stakes. You've got a tough conversation you're going to have with somebody in your life. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's a friend. Um, but maybe give it a go. Actually visualize, what does that picture look like? Describe it to yourself. What are the elements that make it look like a successful picture to you? And then lastly, how can you operationalize it? What do you need to do? What can you do to make that picture work, to make it real? Okay, well, good luck. And I will see you next week. Take care.